President Muhammadu Buhari has given a marching order to law enforcement agencies to decisively deal with election sabotage. All Progressive Congress set to resume political campaigns ahead of Saturday, 23rd February presidential and National Assembly elections, as INEC retrieves all the sensitive materials to Central Bank of Nigeria nationwide. These and more are stories from Panorama coming to you from the Lagos Network Center. I am Michael Olaleye. We'll be right back. President Muhammadu Buhari has given a marching order to law enforcement agencies to deal decisively with any individual or groups that attempt to sabotage the nation's electoral process through any forms of malpractices. Speaking at an emergency national caucus meeting of the governing All Progressive Congress, the president vows to ensure that Nigeria's democracy is safeguarded from abuse, no matter what it takes. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has details.
Informed by the sudden postponement of elections by INEC, the emergency national caucus meeting of the APC was an opportunity by stakeholders to critically analyze and properly respond to issues at stake as they affect the interests of the governing party. President Muhammadu Buhari, who revealed that he was only informed about the shift in dates for the polls at 4:35 Saturday morning, described the reasons for the action by the nation's electoral umpire as flimsy.
INEC has all the time and all the resources they wanted. They didn't have to wait for only 6 hours to cast in the votes to tell us that it was impossible. We do not understand why this inefficiency. And we have to go into details after the election to find out who is responsible. Definitely, the reasons why such incompetence manifests itself has to be explained to the nation. Otherwise, our efforts, to make sure that this system we voluntarily accept is not making progress. What is the use if we will accept incompetence? The Constitution and the laws protected INEC, but they must not take us for granted.
Even as the elections were postponed by 1 week, there were reports on the discovery of various acts of malpractices in parts of the country. The president, who described the situation as unfortunate and intolerable, directed law enforcement agencies to do whatever is necessary towards ensuring that votes count.
I have briefed the law enforcement agencies and the military. They have identified hotspots, flashpoints. They should be prepared to move. I want Nigerians to be respected. Let them vote whoever they want across the parties. I'm not afraid of that. I have gone through, as you said, the whole 36 states and Abuja. I went round. I think I have got enough supporters across the country. So anybody who thinks he has enough influence in his locality to lead a body of thugs to snatch boxes or to disturb the voting system, he will do it at the expense of his own life.
President Buhari, however, used the opportunity to once again urge the teeming supporters of the APC to remain steadfast and exercise restraint while returning to vote on Saturday.
We have to tell our constituencies that they have to be patient and must react in a very responsible way by going peacefully to vote again. I do not expect anybody to make any disturbance.
National chairman of the APC, Adams Oshomole, also spoke in the same vein, saying no matter the circumstances, taking Nigeria to the next level is a task that the nation's majority is not prepared to compromise.
One setback cannot be the end. Our commitment to democracy is not negotiable. Our people's determination to elect Mr. President is not at the mercy of any institution, including INEC. Yeah. And many have resolved that the more INEC try to frustrate our people, the more determined we are.
The chairman, who expressed serious reservations over the intentions and neutrality of INEC regarding the way and manner the elections were rescheduled, however, said the APC is now fully alert and alive to its responsibilities as the party to beat. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The All Progressive Congress has said it will review its political campaigns ahead of the presidential and National Assembly elections rescheduled for February 23, 2019, in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act. This was part of the resolutions at its National Caucus meeting. Saliu Abdullahi reports.
The APC caucus meeting went into closed doors after the brief opening address by President Muhammadu Buhari. Adams Oshomole announced the 8-point communique with an appeal to its supporters to recommit themselves and work towards success come February 23rd.
Mr. President, in his capacity as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has reiterated his commitment and his directive to the Nigerian Armed Forces that they have a duty to protect and to give confidence to the electorate.
The party appealed to INEC and key stakeholders to tackle headlong the challenges associated with delivery of electoral materials, asking INEC to ensure that the new date for the presidential and National Assembly polls remain sacrosanct.
Frustrated as we are, disappointed as we are, and disillusioned as the Nigerian electorate is right now, this is the time to stand up and be counted on the side of democracy.
Some party faithful described the forum as timely.
Nigerians should learn to have a free, fair, credible election.
There's need for some kind of commitment and engagement by INEC to ensure that we don't experience this at all.
But I believe the INEC, and with the good intention of the Nigerian people, things will get out of it.
The chairman made a good decision by inviting the party caucus to review our movement.
They urged Nigerians to remain committed to the task of building a strong democracy. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The Buhari Support Organization has assured the All Progressives Congress of its continued support ahead of the presidential and National Assembly elections. National Chairman of the organization, Dr. Mahmoudia Abubakar, gave the assurance at a media briefing in Abuja. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
The Buhari Support Organization is the umbrella body in charge of all the support groups of President Muhammadu Buhari. The briefing convened by the organization was to express disappointment over the postponement of last Saturday's polls, but however urged members not to relent in their efforts towards mobilizing support for President Buhari's re-election bid.
We have our support base, and people have seen what APC has accomplished in 3.5 years. A lot of things that have not happened in over 16 years back, before 2015. We are not threatened in any way. We have the people, we have the support, and they know what APC stands for. Especially they know what the president is all about. He's about the people, he's for the country, he's for progress.
He implored members to embark on massive sensitization of the electorate on the achievements of the Buhari administration. Similarly, the chairman of Abuja Municipal Council area, Abdullahi Adamu Candido, has called on opposition political parties to maintain decency in their comments, especially as regards the postponement.
The frustration and desperation for power must not be a reason to reduce the office of Mr. President to nothingness. Instead, they should blame themselves for their misfortune, having had 16 years opportunity that was not utilized for the common good of Nigerians.
The APC, he assured, will always remain law-abiding before, during, and after the elections. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a report from across the country says sensitive materials earlier distributed by the Independent National Electoral Commission has been retrieved and lined with the directive of INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. Joseph Johnson recompiled a report of retrievals sent in by our correspondents.
Federal Capital Territory, sensitive materials earlier distributed for the postponed presidential and National Assembly elections have been returned to the vault of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Resident Electoral Commissioner says all items were returned.
It has been our custody, but today we have to return all of them back to this safekeeping at the board of the Central Bank. We will not have conducted a very credible election with the materials with the 13 pellet missing. And this this is not, the FCT is not in isolation.
Similarly, the non-sensitive materials initially deployed to all the 16 local government areas of Ekiti State for the conduct of the elections in Ekiti have been returned to the CBN office in Ado Ekiti. Ayodeji Ogunshakin reports that the materials were confirmed by concerned key players. The same is the story from Niger State, where the materials earlier distributed for the elections have been accounted for, according to the resident electoral commissioner, Professor Sam Egu.
Ekiti State happens to be one of the first states that successfully retrieved all the materials. Everything I can confirm to you with my sister agencies and the INEC director that everything is very, very much intact.
When local governments return this material, we undertake due diligence to check in terms of what they took away, and then to be sure that nothing is missing.
In Akwa Ibom State, a former IHOJ reports that the resident electoral commissioner has taken advantage of the election's postponement to heighten voter education in the state. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Still on election matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Lagos State has commenced the reconfiguration of smart card readers to reflect the new date of the election. Correspondent report that activities are picking up at the Commission's office after the postponement of last Saturday's elections. Beehive around the INEC office in Lagos, an indication that residents have put the disappointment of the postponement of Saturday's election behind with renewed vigor to come out and march and exercise their franchise this Saturday.
The same turnout that would have been out last week will be the same turnout this very week.
With the love of the country, with the love of God, people need to emphasize their energy and their rights.
Meanwhile, the Commission is already readjusting its plans and programs to reflect the present reality.
We are reconfiguring the smart card reader. It has been configured to read and to work for February 16, but now they are reconfiguring it now to work on the 23rd.
While giving assurance of credible elections, the Deputy Director of Publicity said training of ad hoc staff will continue at the local government level before Saturday's elections.
The material that we receive and put at the various local government INEC offices should be moved back to the CBN. That we've done. And as I'm speaking, for all the materials for all the 20 local government in Lagos State are now safe in CBN custody.
Very conspicuous at the INEC office are security agencies and men of the fire service. Economic experts have estimated that Nigeria probably lost over $1.5 billion, an equivalent of 457 billion naira, owing to the total shutdown of the micro and macroeconomic sectors of the for the presidential polls last Saturday. They argued that the postponement of the presidential and National Assembly elections has negative impact on the economy. Abolade Salami has details.
The shock that greeted the postponement of the presidential and National Assembly elections by the electoral umpire to 23rd of February 2019 has started to settle. But Nigerians, particularly the business community, is still counting the losses and the subsequent economic impact, just as the political class is still counting its own losses in terms of logistics. The economy recorded a huge loss as the macro and macroeconomic sectors were completely shut down from any business transactions.
First, there was a shutdown of the total economy on Saturday, which meant a lot of cost. And our estimation is that even if we discount for some of the variables, our estimation is that it has cost this economy about $1.5 billion. So the effect was quite profound.
With the growing trend in technology, economic experts are of the opinion that relevant stakeholders should think of addressing the issue of declaring public holidays on election days.
Because of that postponement. So you have all economic activities that should have generated
productive income were all suspended. So you find out that at the macro level, we are going to see severe losses to economic productive activities. We don't need to go to a polling booth on a single day and shut down economic activities. There's no reason why we should not have electronic voting today.
This move will be replicated on the 23rd of February 2019. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
You're still on to Panorama from the Lagos Network Center. More report after this break. Please don't go away. Glad to know you're still there. The Nigerian Railway Corporation has taken delivery of 18 train wagons to be used in transporting containers and other goods directly from the port. Managing Director of the corporation, Fidet Ohiria, said the wagons and a locomotive will be dedicated to the Kaduna Dry Port. Dotun Ogunyemi has details.
The federal government in May 2018 placed an order for the 18 wagons which were received and inspected by the Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation. After assessment, the MD said the wagons will boost the operational capacity of the railways as an alternative to transporting containers, which were predominantly moved by road.
We are happy to receive this thing and we improve our operation, especially the dry port in Kaduna. So we intend to dedicate this and the logo for that movement.
The wagons are expected to be deployed immediately after due certification, as the corporation is looking into the replacement of damaged tracks along several rail routes.
They test run them right in China, and on arriving here, we'll feed them and put them on the wagons and do a trial run maybe for about 30 kilometers and back. Then it's ready to go. And we are managing to fix them. But thank God the new dawn is almost here, and the May the standard gauge will enter the port, so you will not feel those things you are feeling. But I have told the engineers in charge to ensure that those joints are lifted.
The corporation says it is also expecting 60 coaches, 200 wagons and about 30 locomotives to be deployed on the standard gauge rail line. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
Airlines are counting their losses due to dust haze released through the northern parts of the country, thereby limiting the number of takeoff and landing of aircraft. Emmanuel Ayimiro was at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and came back with the situation report.
Poor visibility is common around this time, either in the early hours of the day or this time at night. Most flights flying into Northeast have had to cancel, delayed, or reschedule their flights. Captain Saleh Yahya Usman has 35 years experience as a pilot. To him, safety is first, and weather challenges can be overcome once adherence to regulations is complied with.
You don't do things by yourself. You are guided. So before you go embark on any flight, the first thing you want to get is the weather information. So if the weather at my destination, like I'm going to Kano now, they have already, I'm aware of the weather situation in Kano, which right now is good enough for me to go. Assuming it was bad, there is nothing I can do.
Most of days back, we have a problem of weather in Maiduguri, Kano, and Yola, that we have to keep an aircraft on ground for almost 6 hours and up to 7 hours before we could fly. That's a big loss for the airline. But as for the passengers, they are not looking at it that way. They are not looking at it that way. It's because of the safety that we have to observe that parking of aircraft.
Still talking about safety, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has advised road users to exercise caution and avoid overspeeding due to low visibility around this time and in the early morning period. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
Truck drivers have continued to trade blame on the return of articulated vehicles on roads in Lagos metropolis. Paul Mukago tells us more.
The presence of articulated vehicles on bridges and major roads is not entirely the fault of the truck drivers, as they spend between 1 to 3 weeks before gaining access to Apapa ports. Delay in entering the ports, they say, leave them with no other alternative but to wait for their turn on the bridges and the adjoining roads.
I'm a trailer driver. This is my truck. I've been here for the past 2 weeks. No way to go to inside ports to go and load.
I don't queue for Ido. I did for Ido like 3 weeks before we come here again.
Last time before election, he said, you know, go allowed motor empty, where you carry empty container. You know, go drop us for WAF. And that empty container, up to now, they're intact. So they go back for roads.
The opening of Leventis Bridge in Apapa is one of many steps taken by the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing to decongest the bridges and roads. The other step is the completion of a 350 trailer park with the construction of a shore protection, delaying the use of the facility.
The reason why it's not being put to use till now is because we felt it is better for operational efficiency, safety and security reasons to construct the shoreline protection.
The good news is that part of the materials for the shoreline protection has already arrived to the country.
The presence of articulated vehicles on a co-bridge will linger for a while. The reason being that the park that is supposed to accommodate 350 vehicles is yet to be opened to the trailer drivers. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
And on sports, Team Nigeria intensifies training for regional under-18 handball World Cup qualifier as CAF names Nigeria among 8 teams for this year's All-African Games Women's Football event. Kene Emagbudike has more on Sports Updates. That is News Panorama from the Lagos Network Center. Stay tuned to the largest TV network in Africa for more news updates. I am Michael Olale.